If your child is struggling in school with reading, math, or the core subjects, or maybe they're having trouble focusing or avoiding school and academics altogether, you're in the right place. Aloha, I'm Toprakci. I'm an education consultant and founder of the learning program, the Toprakci Method. I've been a private teacher and education consultant for over 2 decades, and I specialize in helping students who struggle in school with everything from learning differences, dyslexia, anxiety, low self-confidence, and distraction in the classroom. Using a combination of unique methods such as breathwork, brain work, gratitude, and even a clay-based learning program to affect the neuroplasticity of the brain, I've been able to dramatically improve students' ability to spell, read, grasp number sense, and focus. I'm here to tell you that struggling students can be transformed into confident learners who become academically successful permanently in a remarkably short amount of time. Using this simple assessment I've created, you're embarking on the first step to giving your child a precious gift, the confidence and joy of learning. This video training is to teach you how to do a quick informal assessment that I've developed and use in my practice whenever I begin working with a new student. This technique reveals the way someone's brain processes information, which can give us many useful clues on how to help their learning processes now and in the future. It works best with kids 2nd to 8th grade, but truly it works with all ages. Also, I recommend that all parents use this assessment even before a learning issue may present itself because it will help you understand your child fully. The wait and see philosophy just doesn't work because often by the time a child shows obvious signs of struggles, it escalates quickly. It can put them seriously behind their peers in school, causing unnecessary suffering, and can even create lasting issues with their self-esteem. Understanding how your child's brain operates can help you get ahead of learning differences before they become a real problem and actually fix them permanently. Let's get started. In this assessment with your child, you're going to be looking for what's called a trigger word. A trigger word is just a common word that a student regularly struggles with or usually guesses, misses, or skips while writing and reading. There are typically about 219 trigger words. Some of the most common ones are once, and, the, saw, was, took, wait, of, for, on, in, at, I, a, left, got, climb, did, he, she, his, only, took, look, and starting and staring. Often kids who struggle with trigger words have about 10 to 50 of their own. The reason it's so important to assess a child's trigger words is that having too many of them interferes with their reading comprehension, fluency, confidence, and typically spelling and writing. I usually use the book The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein to assess a child I'm working with because it's a quick read and full of trigger words. If you don't have The Giving Tree handy, any book that contains many small words that don't easily create a mental picture will work as well. Again, those words, the, a, and, so forth. You'll also want to have a pen and paper handy to make some notes to yourself. Step 2, watch and listen for trigger words. Ask your child to read the whole book aloud to you, and along the way, be quietly noting any trigger words. Remember, these are the words that your child struggles with, guesses, misses, or skips altogether. Here's an example of what it might look like. In the first sentence of the book, once there was a tree and she loved a little boy, a student might read that sentence as once there was a tree and she loved a boy, or once there was a tree, she loved a little boy, which tells us that omitting the words little or and can be a personal trigger word. Keep track of their trigger words during the assessment by writing them down discreetly so you don't distract your child as they read. If a child gets stuck or asks for help, it's okay to help them once they've tried or if they are very stuck, but for the most part, let them read their story on their own as best they can. Step 3, ask the child to summarize the story. In addition to noticing the amount of trigger words, we want to check in on how well your child processed and understood the story, because it tells us if their reading fluency or ability is getting in the way of their comprehension. So after they finish, ask them to give a simple summary of the beginning, middle, and end of what they just read, and also a few reflective questions such as, what did you think of the story? What do you think of the tree and the boy's friendship? Who is the better friend and why? Was the boy a good friend or was the tree a good friend? Now it's time to look at everything you've observed as a whole. Were they able to summarize the story in a cohesive way? Did they understand the story or have any insights? If the answer to these are mostly no, it's clear that their ability to read out loud is affecting their ability to understand and comprehend. Finally, how many trigger words did you note? If your child has just a few words missed or mistakes in the whole book, that indicates that they may have some minor differences in reading, and it's just a good idea to monitor if these mistakes come up more often. If your child has lots of trigger words, you're noticing the same ones again and again, they're coming up on every page, or they have trouble reading fluently, not recalling what they read, understanding the story, or having any insights, this is something you'll want to get help with as soon as you can. Having a lot of trigger words shows us that your child is processing visually instead of phonetically. Phonetically is the way that most schools teach reading. Visual learners may have trouble with letter recognition, tracking, and need more visual-based tools to learn to read, write, and spell. Honestly, most schools are not set up to teach reading with visual-based strategies in the intensity that visual-based learners need, which just means that your child will likely need some extra support in this area to master reading. But once they've mastered it, they've got it. If it's clear your child is struggling with trigger words, don't freak out. If you see them stumbling over a trigger word, have them spell it out or you spell it out depending on your child's age. It starts to help them recognize words visually rather than phonetically. 2, read out loud 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. It's not only a good bonding time, but it helps them build reading stamina and become stronger independent readers over time. 3, check in randomly to make sure your child knows all their letters. A lot of times kids are switching up letters or don't know them out of order. 4, ensure they're tracking letters left to right as they read. Words like saw and was can be easily mixed up when read in the wrong order. Remember, visual learners are just as bright as typical children, but they will likely need a different set of tools to be successful in the classroom setting. They'll need to be taught to read visually and through spelling rather than phonetically, so spotting this early on is the key. I truly hope this was helpful for you, and I'd love to hear from you. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook to share your questions and let me know how I can best help you and your child. If you'd like to stay in touch, please make sure to sign up for my newsletter by going to TawnyTutors.com or pages.TawnyTutors.com newsletter. You can also check out my new podcast, The Toprakci Method, where I share free teaching insights, tips, and helpful strategies to help children believe in themselves and become better learners for the rest of their lives. Listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, if you're looking for more personalized one-on-one support, I do work with a small number of remote private clients throughout the year. Space is extremely limited, so email me at tawny.toproxy@tawnytutors.com to learn more about how it works and to save your spot. Thanks so much for watching, and aloha.